Welcome, everyone. We have some steps for you to do. Welcome to our Nomad Stories event. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, where you're at, and what you're currently working on. And we also have a few polls for you to check out. And you can submit any questions for our lovely panelists in the Q&A box. And you can submit those now, or you can submit them as we go on. And we're gonna get started here in about 5 minutes. Excited to see where you guys are all calling in from. Oops.
Albert should be doing some background music right now.
Yes, break out the guitar.
Yeah, my guitar's on the other side of the room.
Alberta, Canada. Nice.
I'll learn the ukulele for next time.
Some entertainment, pre-entertainment. San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Hey, I'm in Texas as well, Adam.
Oh, that's cool.
Panama. Rodrigo Morelos from Panama. Oh, hi. I think it's a friend of mine. Rodrigo Morelos. Good. Tampa, Florida.
I have a question for Brielle that's in the chat. Is your bot mock, is that like Drift and all those other chat bots?
Wow, do we have 2 people from Alberta, Canada here? Wow.
I'll put, is this the time to put like portfolio links and stuff in the chat? Can we do that? Or?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Your contact information.
Yeah.
Udemy? UX.
Oh, nice. Founder of My Librarian.
Yeah, Michelle's another Outsite member. So is Brielle.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Actually, quite a few Outsite members here. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, Michelle, really? You stayed at 10 locations. That's incredible. I think you deserve some kind of reward.
You're the one to make that happen.
Got it.
Doesn't that get you like Nomad status?
Choose any ounce.
Yeah, you're right. She's definitely on the Nomad status with the rewards, for sure.
Valiant, Lisbon. Go, Lisbon. Go, Lisbon.
Vicki,
I love Lisbon.
have you been to?
The Lisbon house I haven't been to, but at Lisbon itself, the city I've been to for a layover, and it was gorgeous. I had fun there.
Panama.
Yeah. Lisbon house was my first house.
Really?
Yeah.
Love
I was planning to go there this year.
Awesome. Maybe 1 more minute and then we'll kind of get started. Bianca, how many Outsite locations have you been?
1, 2, maybe 4.
Nice.
Multiple stays at one location or a couple locations, does that count? Do I get the discount too?
Sure. What about you, Albert? I know you've been back and forth, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, I've only been to 3 locations, just because I keep rebooking Encinitas and Dell in LA, and the other one is in Brooklyn. My first one was in Brooklyn after I moved out of my apartment, so it was down the street from my apartment. So.
Perfect. That's nice. Nice. All right. For everyone who's here,
Oh, Adam.
Go ahead and continue introducing yourself in the chat, letting us know where you're at, what you're working on, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our first couple of questions for our friends. So, quickly, well, first, let me do a little bit of introduction for myself, since I'm kind of moderating here. My name is Christina. I run community and events at Outsite, and Outsite is a place for remote professionals to build a location-flexible lifestyle. So exactly what this whole event is about. And we do have a membership, and you can get access to spaces around the world that are designed for living and working. And you meet a bunch of really cool people, and they become your collaborators and your friends, and really your remote nomad circle of friends. And with the membership, you also get monthly deals and rewards and partner perks. And I am currently based in Texas. I was in LA for the last 3 years, but I decided to go nomadic right before the COVID-19 pandemic happened. Like literally last week of February is when I started. So just in time for the pandemic, which is just great. But I am in Texas right now, and things are going okay. And I'm excited to introduce you to our panelists for the event. If you guys want to let us know kind of like where you're from, where you're based, what you do for work, any kind of passions that you have, and also what you would consider your location independent status. I know it kind of varies, so you can kind of let us know where you're at currently.
Who do you want to start? Oh, I guess I'll start. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Vicki. I originally from Florida. I lived in LA for the last 12 years and then just sort of decided I was done with it. I'm currently based, my home base is Hawaii. I was staying at the Outsite house here. I was kind of floating between here and Encinitas for a while. And then I just decided that I loved it here a bit more. So shipped my car, home base is here now. So I'm on the North Shore of Oahu. I'm a web designer. I own a WordPress web design business. I've been doing it now for about 11 years. Previously worked in music marketing, 9 to 5, that sort of thing. Location independent status is I like to keep a home base, and then I typically will end up traveling 3 to 4 months a year. I've sort of had it that way for the last 6, 7, 8 years or so.
Nice, thanks. Albert, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. My name's Albert. Originally I was born in Manila, Philippines, and I'm now back here, actually. I'm currently in Manila. Location status, as of this year, I actually don't have a home base. So my plan was to drift all over and kind of just like wing it. But the last time that I had an apartment was in Brooklyn. So that's kind of like where my last place was. And then after that, I stayed a lot in the Encinitas and LA Dell House, I believe. And I'm a interactive designer for Rosetta Stone during the day. And if you saw my bio, at night, I'd make music and little short horror animations on YouTube.
So cool. I didn't know that actually before I saw that in your bio. And you also like to wear funny hats, but no hats tonight or this morning.
No, yeah. I mean, it's in the bedpost. Yeah, I should have worn it. I could get one.
Maybe at the end of the call, you can wear a hat and play a song.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bianca.
I am. Hi, my name is Bianca. I was born in Guatemala. I currently reside in California. I do have a home base, which is California, for my clients, my family, but I do travel maybe half year I am traveling and half the year. So I probably spend more, on average, maybe half the year outside the United States, half the year in the States. I, been traveling for quite a while now, but as of last year, it's been pretty much been doing a lot of digital nomad. But I've been working from home for 6 years. I founded TaxSmart 6 years ago and discovered the cloud accounting. I'm a bookkeeper and a tax accountant, and so that's been pretty much the reason why I was able to work from home 6 years ago, and now I've been able to travel and yeah, living the dream.
Nice. I agree with you. Kind of going back to the very beginning, the basics of like, what was it that inspired you to create this location independent lifestyle? Did it kind of just happen where maybe there was a job opportunity and you took it and it was already remote and that's what it kind of just grew from that? Or was it something more deliberate that you planned around because you just wanted the lifestyle?
Is that for me? I guess I'll go. I'll go first. So yeah, I remember 2009 and 10 where we were having the economy, issues in the United States. I pretty much lost my job, and it was like a whole year of like discovery of what, if I wanted to take the same career. I was like I was at the moment working for a nonprofit in San Bernardino, and I remember sitting on the desk and I was like, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life, become a CPA and sit in this office and look at papers and tax questions. It's just like, I was like, no. And then I remember receiving a text from a friend and saying, have you seen this new software that you can actually continue to do what you do online? So I remember Googling and I was like, looking at a little picture frame, and I was like, I am out here. Like, I am literally doing this. Like, the entire world just opened up of opportunities for me when I saw what I could do online, and then continue to work. I was trying crafty, and then I decided not to go back to the workforce. I decided that I can offer a service online. I was currently working at H&R Block as well, so I was working part-time, and I was working in marketing with them. And I just saw like this whole new idea that I could be doing for me instead of for a bigger corporation. And that's how TaxSmart was born, and then it's just history from there.
That's awesome.
I'll go next, I guess. I was working as a marketing manager, like digital marketing stuff, and we were hiring all these graphic designers and web designers for other things. And every time I'd submit their invoices, I'm like, damn it, I could be doing that. I could figure this out. That money could go to me. And then so I knew I had web design and little programming skills from high school that I was growing on at the time. But I never went to school for web design, even though I have a web design business now. I'm all self-taught. It was taking that idea, and then I read The 4-Hour Workweek on a trip to Hawaii 10 years ago. So that book, Tim Ferriss talks about lifestyle design, and he kind of gives his story and also stories of other people. There's lots of case studies. So just that book and like the drive that I had at the moment came together, and it just painted this picture that was so clear to see. And like from then on, it was like game on. Like I started just making moves immediately and made my way here. Albert?
I guess I'm next. I kind of inceptioned my way into remote work. I kind of, our office back then was in DC Metro, and I just got tired of living in DC Metro. So I kind of like told them that I like the company. I love the team. They're like family to me, actually. So, but I didn't like living in the DC Metro anymore. So I moved. allowed me to move to New York. So I was there for a couple of years, and then what really made me go location independent was I was walking down to a bodega in a snowstorm, and I was like, this is just well out of order. I can't do this anymore. So there must be a way that I could, I'm already remote. Working remotely. So why can't I move to like a better weather? So I asked if I could be location independent, and good thing they said yes. So
Yeah, I think it's also funny. I know you guys have all mentioned that you've been to the Encinitas house, which is just north of San Diego, and you're currently all in very tropical climates, Hawaii, Playa del Carmen. So I think there is something with this kind of location independence. You can be where the weather's good whenever you want to be, which is really awesome.
Yep. It was
and
my
so
first
Rough
trip to Encinitas. Yeah, my first trip to Encinitas was like 3 years ago or so, and I remember I was just sitting there at the Neptune house, like looking out onto the ocean, and I'm like, why do I live? Like I was in LA, just in an apartment. Bianca, I think, can't hear us, or she's muted right now. So I was like, why am I living in an apartment where I could live somewhere and stare at the ocean? And that was the kick in the butt that I needed to, like, okay, let's move.
Bianca, are you good now?
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mute myself and unmute me.
Nice. So for this one, for work strategy, I think we've kind of already touched on if you kind of sought out the role or if you created your own, but do you have like a side hustle or like a passive income stream that supports your lifestyle and what you do? Or do you mainly rely on, because really you kind of have a full-time job that you've create it for yourself as your company, or if you work for someone else?
I currently, I guess that, okay.
Go for it.
As an entrepreneur myself, the first 3 years were a bit, I had savings to start the business. I guess after the 3 year, you kind of like struggle. For the year, you're like, oh my God, what did I do with all my savings? So I did get a second job to support me again. So now I was able to help the business, help myself, and with a second job, which I recommend to anybody trying to get be an entrepreneur, to just keep your income, keep a little salary on the side. Like I went through a lot of hustle for not having an extra income, and now where I'm at now is I do, as of March this year, I had a second other part-time job, and I just started investing in real estate. So I guess hopefully soon, it made me think, after going through losing my job and starting the business and being, struggling financially, it was like, I need to make sure that I have different types of income, especially because, I do make county. So I got to set up myself for success. I'm not going to be broke again, hopefully.
So yeah, I created my own position, obviously. Didn't really, I think I looked around for a little bit, and maybe I tried to apply here or there, but I got set up pretty nicely because I left my full-time job to work at a music startup, and they actually ended up going under. So at first they like transitioned everyone to part-time, and then how it goes, and then the part-time went to everyone got let go. But this is like what, 9 years ago, something like that. And it just put me in a nice place to where a lot of people are right now. I won't say it's a nice place, but collecting unemployment. I was able to collect unemployment and then work on my web design skills through the time, like doing websites for just anyone, like friend's uncle, who was a plumber, was my first website. And I helped him for $200, and then little by little working my way up. And by the time the unemployment was done, then I was making a full-time salary. So I was able to do it. So I think that's, a good message to a lot of people right now that find themselves either furloughed or, collecting a little support right now. It's a good time to just work on your skills and, find other people that are doing what you want to do, talk to them, figure out what they're doing. It's a good time.
I guess me. I used to do a lot of freelance along with my full-time job, and I kind of just stopped doing freelance to pursue more my other creative pursuits that actually, they don't make money, but it scratches the itch of like that creative urge to make something, and hence the cartoons and the music. But actually, because of this kind of like being locked down, I had an idea that I was able to kind of like start to pursue, which is I'm just about ready to launch an apparel clothing brand for
Cool.
e-skates, one wheeling. I don't know if you guys are familiar with one wheel.
Yeah.
So I'm in the kind of like the content marketing phase of that, kind of like getting into the scene and telling people about it. So hopefully when the pandemic kind of like dies down, I get to launch it. So we'll see.
I met something funny about one wheel,
Congrats.
or I don't know, one wheel or scooters. I met another Outsite member at Hawaii that was trying to fly in. I can't remember if it was a one wheel or a scooter from Colombia, and they wouldn't let him because it was this crazy battery pack or something. So they
Yep.
made him like disassemble it and take it apart right there at the airport. He got here. I was so bummed.
Yeah, I had to
Ship
take
it.
mine apart. Yeah, I had to take mine
Yeah.
apart so it's not a vehicle anymore. So
Yeah.
It's crazy. Did you take it on the airplane or did you have to ship it separately?
the small one you can take on the plane because it's under the limit, but the big one that I have, they're actually right here right now. The big one you can't. It's totally not safe for airplanes. So I had to ship that sea cargo. But now that it's here, it has to stay here. So I have to buy a new one. I have to buy another one when I get to the States. So
Have you all had to ship something that you needed from like your home base to whatever country that you were in? Have you guys all had to do that before?
I am still waiting a month for my package that my friend sent me from California in this pandemic. And just today I sent like my inquiry because I'm like, I'm almost like I'm ready to go back home and I still haven't received my package. So I guess everything can be replaceable. It's just like, I just order like a new Mophie, like Wi-Fi. And that was like my only thing that I probably pay $80 for, but it's okay. I can replace it. But it's like so annoying. Like it's the first time I wasn't expecting to stay this long here, but during the pandemic, there's plans keep changing, so that's like in my volleyball, I guess that was like another thing, but
Yeah.
everything can be replaced. Yeah.
I think it was about 6 years ago for me. I was in Bali and nowhere near Canggu or Ubud or anything. I was like far northern side, like or northern west side, east side, Lovina or something like that. And my MacBook charger died. It was like on the fritz. And now, like ever since then, I always travel with an extra for sure, or like a brand new one. Like if you don't have, like if your charger looks like it's on the fritz, get a new one. Always keep it with you. I remember I wasn't anywhere near a town. Like I'd have to get the driver for the day, and then we didn't know because I had like the new MacBook, and they probably didn't have those in Bali yet. And it was like tax deadline. I remember it was like April, and I had to like finish my taxes for my accountant. And I was like just praying. I think I had just arranged with like a friend was coming to meet me the next week, so I was overnighting to her, and she was going to bring it. But I walked into, it was in a tiny, tiny little resort. And I walked out to the breakfast area and there's a guy with a MacBook sitting right there. And I was like, oh, I think I went up and I sat and I was like crying. I was like, you're saving my life. Can I use your charger? He's like, of course, of course. So always carry a new charger if you're traveling anywhere that seems anything remotely like third world or second world or whatever. Now I'm sure Bali has a lot more Mac stores.
Yeah, you definitely need power and you need Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You're gonna be working remotely anywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to our kind of there's no questions on this page. Or maybe it's just hold on just a second.
Is anyone else are any of the attendees web designers? Is anyone a web designer? I think I saw a lot of like marketing people.
Well, my next questions were about logistics and kind of how whenever it comes to the home base, how you decided whether to have a home base or not. And also when it comes to possessions, did you want to sell them? Did you put them in storage? Did you donate them? And what did you do with your car if you had it?
Car's tough. I've dealt a lot with like leaving my car for like 3 or 4 months at a friend's house, and then the last time I ever did that in Orange County, mice or rats or something ate into the engine, and then that ended up costing a few grand afterwards. That's a lesson. Like if you're gonna leave your car somewhere, make sure it's like in a garage somewhere, or someone's paved driveway. Never park on the grass. But sometimes I've been lucky, like, you know, I'll find somebody that's not fine, but like I'll hear of a friend that's moving. This is when I was in LA. Someone's moving to LA. Hey, do you want to rent my car and my place for a few months? And I would do things like that once in a while. Or I just leave my car with family. But my car's been paid off for a while, so I was just trying to hold on to it. And now I still have it in Hawaii. As far as other stuff, when I was younger, sometimes I would just put it all in storage, get a small storage unit. But now as I'm older, like mid-30s, like I want my stuff. I like my stuff. So I'd rather have a home base to keep it at.
I have I've become a bit of a minimalist, I guess. I just have my suitcase and I carry my favorite items that I replace. Sometimes I donate them whenever, you know, depending on where you wash them, they start fading. So you have to replace your favorite shirt. So it's been like nice to keep replacing favorite shirts. I have a small closet. It just makes it easy for me to pack when I leave. I do have a car in California that they asked me, the HOA asked me to move it, but I had to call my friends to ask to move the car because it was going to be towed. So it is a problem, you know, to have the car. But this is probably like the first time I am away for this much time, because I usually move the car. I go back and forth to California. And then as far as furniture, since I have a home base with my roommates, you know, everything's fine. But personal items, I just carry my favorite items, my favorite.
Your crystals and everything. I carry.
No, I don't know much about crystals. Probably I shouldn't know, because my bag is gonna be heavy.
Yeah. No. I came from LA. We have crystals.
All the crystals. Got it.
I have a lot of stuff, actually. I wish I could be like Bianca and be like me more minimalist, but I do rent a storage space, and they mainly have being a musician, like guitars and like a couch that I really like, that I don't want to let go of. But I also have a car, and I left that to my nephew. So he has thank God, a spare garage space that would fit my camper van. So it's there right now. But yeah, I wish I could be more minimalist, but yeah, I have a lot of stuff.
I had to learn to be a minimalist, believe me. I have, you know, I'm a girl, still like a bunch of shoes and a bunch of dresses and a bunch of stuff, but I had to learn to travel with just my favorite items. I don't remember, it was a Pinterest that I was like trying to do my wardrobe, like what's it, the capsule, like my favorite items, and that capsule really helped me a lot. But I do have a closet at home with a bunch of stuff, and I love to cook, so I have a kitchen full of stuff at home. So I don't know if I move, or that's why I can probably be a full-time, you know, digital nomad. What would I do with all my kitchen stuff? Like I still want to go home.
I actually travel light,
so popular.
But I have so much stuff like back home. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I meet more and more people, like now that everyone's so health conscious, like I meet a lot of people that end up traveling with more kitchen stuff, right? Like their machine to make their fresh pressed almond milk, and you know, I carry around my favorite coffee. I do the Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee, so I bring like a 60-day supply everywhere I go, and some powders and stuff. But yeah, I've seen a lot of nomads carry more kitchen stuff. Yeah. Juicers, I see people traveling with juicers.
We saw tons of people in the LA houses bring their own juicer or their own like a special coffee maker.
Yeah.
Which I get.
Yeah.
All right. see. So kind of moving on to the location independence. Whenever you kind of have your work strategy in place, you understand kind of maybe what you might be doing with your items and if you want a home base or not. Like how do you determine, I guess, where you want to go and how long you want to stay? I know it sounds like for Vicki and Bianca, you do have home bases, so you are traveling maybe less than Albert when you're like just completely on the road. But how do you determine how long to stay in a place and what's like the sweet spot for you? And has that changed over time? Because I feel like in general, stays are getting longer and longer. And I think post-COVID, people are also going to want to stay more long-term just so they can settle in, feel comfortable, and feel at home where they're at.
I'm gonna start on that because I only been nomading probably about fully like for 2 years. For me, it was more of like I did a whole like 3 year. I've been traveling the world a lot, maybe on vacations every week. So I kind of be picking my favorite spots, and then from there I'm okay. I like Lisbon. I can see me staying there like a month, or you just keep extending, or I don't know, Guatemala. I can visit my family's there, so I can stay there for a month and move different locations, and then go back to work. At this point, because my entire business is online. Before it wasn't, like during tax season, I had to come back to the office, open the office. So December through May, I was in the States, so that pretty much determined why I couldn't have it. As soon as April 15 ended, finished the tax returns for everybody, and then May 1st, I was already on a plane going somewhere. So that was like for the rest of the year, I was traveling maybe 5 months. But then I would fall in love with a few places after traveling around the world, I guess, pretty much. And I picked, now I have my 3 or 4 locations where I can stay for 2-3 months or a month. And then the places that I have not been, I probably make a 1 week vacation or 2 weeks whenever I need to. But like, that's been my choice.
Nice. Any similarities, Vicki or Albert?
I'll let Albert. Go.
I go with my gut, actually. I mean, I usually, if I book a place, it's usually for at least a week. And then I just go from there if I'm going to stay around the area, or if I'm going to, if I'm going to move on. I usually go with kind of like when my gut tells me it's time to go. It's like, that's kind of like when I jet out, and actually I just wing it. I just decide it's like, okay, then, time to go to this place. Side note, when I was doing the whole cross country road trip van life thing, that's kind of like how I decided as well, like if I'm going to stick around in the town or not. I planned to be in El Paso for only a week, and I ended up staying there for I think 3 weeks. And then, one day I just realized like, hey, I probably should move on. So I'm more gut instinct type of person when I travel. I probably could use some more organization in that side, but yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what
gut feeling
about the location independent lifestyle is that you have the flexibility to build as much structure as you want or not.
Depends on what you do for work too, right? Because like if you I guess can work from home and have nowhere to be in a meeting, I think that determines also your location. Like for me, I had an office, I had to show up. So it's not like even if I was having the greatest time in Portugal, I still had to come back in December, right? Because I had somewhere to be. It wasn't, what I wanted to, not what I wanted to do, but I had, it was because of work, you have to that. But if your job allows you to be location independent, then really there's probably no need to have a home base. So I've been like, kind of like thinking about that, but because, I like to have my certain things in certain places, I think I'm just kind of settling down between, I was telling what I'm ready to settle down, but I think I'm ready to settle down between 3 places. Like instead of being like 15 a year, I'm just going to be like Guatemala, California, Portugal, maybe somewhere like moving a little bit less probably.
While I was in LA, I would sort of decide how long I was going to be gone for. based on like who could rent my place. Like that was an issue most of the time. Like most of the time in LA, I either lived with one friend or maybe two friends and had a pretty nice room and desk set up, all of this. And so whether it's a friend of a friend that needed a place, or a friend, or even a stranger that I might connect with through a Facebook group or something, and got to know them and felt comfortable, it'd be like, okay, how long do you need it for? Like 2 months, then I'm gonna start looking for a place, something like that. And then I'd be like, okay, I'll be gone for at least 2 months, and then let's just keep in touch. And from there, they'd let me know, oh, I got a place, for next month, or 6 weeks from now, or next week. And I just sort of would go from there. So that was a big factor for me, because if I could get my rent paid, then, I was free to roam. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, rent is a tricky one, right?
Yeah, and in the beginning, I sort of like 2 to 4 months would be a good spot, but then like I think once I hit 30, I was like, okay, 2 months is too long. I'm done. Maybe like a month is good, month and a half. The second I get to 2 months, I get really antsy.
I think that was also part of like why I wanted to get rid of my apartment, because I wanted to travel, but then I would come here to the Philippines, and I don't want to stay here for only 2 weeks or so. So I want to be here at least a month. But renting a place here and also paying New York City apartment rent was a bit tough. So that was kind of like, if I could only get rid of that, that burden, then better set up. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, paying double rent, definitely not.
Yeah.
So we all know each other through kind of the Outsite network, and Outsite is a co-living space. I'm wondering how you first maybe heard about co-living, or what about it interested you in making it part of your location independent journey.
I'll start. I think are we ready? Yeah. Okay. I think it must have been Facebook ads or something I was getting, like when Outsite was first coming around in Encinitas. And it was a Valentine's Day, I remember, and I was like, I don't want to be in LA alone. Let me go somewhere where people, and that's where I met Liz, who's in the chat room. Her and I met Valentine's Day weekend in Encinitas. We were at the Neptune house, and it was like all women. It was like perfect timing. We had a great time with Lindsay. And it is from that moment on, I realized that coming to Outsite, I network like crazy. And as a web designer, like everyone I meet at an Outsite house has some web help that they need, or they have friends that need a website or whatever. So I always make my money back on whatever, I'm paying to stay at Outsite. Like the amount of clients that I've gotten back from it, it's amazing for me. So it's always win-win. Like I know sometimes if the month works out to be a lot more expensive than your normal rent, like no doubt I'm going to get a client out of it. If not this day, the next day, that sort of it. But I make amazing contacts, that I use for work and all of that.
I agree. Your network, the people, your peers, like, yeah, it's not just fun traveling. It's like you get to co-work with, you get to have co-workers that really be your co-workers. You get to brainstorm, share skills. You get to meet a lot of people. Obviously, to hire
meeting friends that have the same problems that you do.
Meeting friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because whenever it's interesting when you do have this freedom to work from wherever, you still want to make sure, especially if you're like still working 40 hours a week, you need Wi-Fi. You don't necessarily always want to be alone. So this is like solves a lot of our problems when it comes to co-living, because you get to share a space with other people, and there's a workspace set up for you, or there's a desk in your room, and generally they're in really beautiful locations, which also helps.
Yeah, I think I learned about on Facebook, or it was an Instagram ad or something. That was just browsing. I don't know how you guys did it, but like I was able to like click on it, and I saw
You got me.
Again, I had another aha moment of like, what? Now I can live with like-minded people, and another entrepreneurs that get my world instead of like working from home alone. That was like, let me try this. And I wanted to try it for the longest time because I live in Orange County, but in LA, didn't really work out, and I had a really good living situation there. But then last year when I was in Portugal, it was the first time I stayed at Outsite. And I was like, how come I didn't do it before? Because I've been, keeping it on my to-do list for the past 3 years. And I was like, how come I didn't do it before? This is crazy. But yeah, I'm happy. Happy I did.
I actually didn't know of the term co-living before. And funny story is that I was visiting DC from Brooklyn, and I was like, I'm tired of living in Brooklyn, or the New York winters. I wish there was like this thing, and me and my friends started brainstorming about what if like there's a service that we could do where you could like rent all these locations, you could sublet and all that stuff. And then I just typed in like all those kind of questions, and I think it was the article, I think something about We Live, or alternatives to We Live, because that We Live already existed, but I was like, it's only in 2 locations. Like, wouldn't it be cool if there's like more of it? And I think the article says like alternatives to We Live, and Outsite was listed on it, and that's how I found out about it. And then I think I signed up for a membership that week. So
nice. That's awesome. Everyone always has a little bit of a different way in. Although whenever I asked, when I was a house manager in LA, definitely the Instagram and Facebook ads were very popular for discovering about co-living and Outsite. So digital marketing, it all works. Yeah. Let's see. I guess before we head into our Q&As real quick, do you guys have like one maybe small nugget of advice that you could give to anyone who is thinking about going location independent, just from your own experiences? I think you have already given a lot of great information in different ways, but if there's like 1 or 2 things that would be really important.
I would say do it. do it, go for it. Do it for a year. Just make sure you have like a good income stream, like you have a secure income before you go out and about. But yeah, it's an experience that you have to have. At least maybe you commit to do it for a year. I was committed to do it for a year, and I did. And I'm like, okay, after traveling so many places now, I picked the locations I really want to settle. And not one, a few. Still Nomad can help it. But yeah, for me, it would be like through the Nomad communities, I've heard about a lot of people that, it's like, are they going to be working remote? They're going to quit their jobs? Are they going to like start their own business? And I think my best piece of advice would be like, especially now that there's going to be a lot of remote jobs, make sure you have that at least a part-time, right? You work in your passion. At least have a second income stream, work on your passion, but have a second other type of income. That'll be my advice.
I guess mine is sort of more for, because I don't know, we can imagine that some people in the chat, it seems like most of them, do have some sort of freelance business going already. But for those that are more working 9 to 5, and then they want the location independence, but then they're trying to figure out what to do. Like, I think there's that, like there's sort of 2 routes you can come into location independence. I have a gig, working on that, and I want to get rid of my house and move around. And then I need to find a gig that gives me that life. So if you're the type of person that is waiting to find or figure out or work on that skill to get you that life that you want, then, that's the sort of path I took. And I just started small. Like I said, I did my friend's uncle's plumber's website for $200, and I never said no. I just kept saying yes to projects, even if it was like bigger than I knew what to do. I knew where to go to hire somebody to do it. And 4-Hour Workweek, the book kind of teaches you that sort of stuff too. It's like, keep saying yes. Like, you can hire somebody that can do it, and you can still make a profit off of that. So keep saying yes. Like, if you're just trying to build your business, and I see a lot of people like spending forever, like years, like planning, like doing their branding and waiting till they get their website up and looking perfect in order to do this. Don't wait for those little things, like jump right in. Like you have to just start somewhere. So waiting and planning, that's great. You can plan forever, but it doesn't like get your foot in the door. Like start getting that first check, and then you'll be like, oh, like I needed to fix this and fix that, offer a little more here, be more helpful here, and just go. Like, especially now while you have time on your hands, just go. Green light.
Try it for a couple of weeks. We could try it for a month and see if you like, you're gonna love it after. Sorry. Wow, but
No, I was gonna say, I don't know how many in the chat actually works full time for an employer, but I was gonna say I would recommend kind of trying it out and see. I mean, right now we don't have a choice but to work remotely, so you know how it feels to work, kind of like in your kitchen or in your home office. But if you are, I think, I've lost my train of thought. Gut instinct. I would just say like just jump into it. And my philosophy is always like things sort of work out eventually, no matter what you kind of like faced with. You find a way to like make it work. So if you're thinking of being location independent, there's really, you just have to jump into it and do it. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Bianca.
oh, sorry. I was gonna. I'm so excited about this question because my friend just asked me last week, like, how are you being able to work from home? How you don't get bored? And I'm like, well, why do you think I move locations? Is because I get bored in one location. Like you get bored from the living room to the kitchen to the bed to the patio. You can't just do that. You have to change. I like to change my environment to continue to with the creativity and just meet new people. And now with outside, it feels like even if I go back home and I book like a weekend in LA or in Sanitas, I'm going to meet great people, and it's going to be for work, and I'm going to come back with a bunch of new friends, and then I'm going to have a talk. My network and my book of friends, nomad friends, just keep growing. So I'm really, really excited about that.
I have one more piece of advice for any of the attendees that have like a 9-to-5 and they're like trying to figure out how to get to this point, kind of like Albert did. Like he took his 9-to-5 and made it into the role he wanted. One great way to do that is now while you're working at home, like keep a note of like, not a note, but like kind of keep talking to your boss about like, wow, I've been really efficient. Look how, like, I'm surprised at how much I got done today. Like that sort of thing. Like keep making little like suggestive comments like that about like how quickly you got done with that report when you didn't have the distractions of the office. Like keep little things like that around, and that way you can present that to your boss or whatever and be like, hey, look, I'd like to try something out. There's a like mention the co-working place, they have Wi-Fi, everyone goes there to work, I'm not on vacation, and all of that, and see how that goes, because I'm guessing that'll go really well.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of like how I did it for me. I mean, kind of like I was gonna say, like right now we're kind of like forced to do the whole remote work thing, but I would say if don't miss meetings, don't miss
Be
deadlines for
early.
projects. That's very important, especially back then when I was trying to prove that I could be as effective remotely as I could be in the office. So I'd say if you are, once this is all over and you have to go back to the office, but you are, wanting to be location independent, is try to prove to your employer that you can do this, easily, if not even, better being remote. So.
Albert, I have a question for you that maybe I was never able to go from like an employee to a contractor, but did you stay an employee, or were you able to negotiate, like prove that you can efficiently work? And because as an employer point of view is like having an employee, you're going to pay payroll taxes or in an office. So now if you really think about this opportunity and just proving that you can work remote and be as efficient as you can be, like it would be tempting, or a very highly consideration for the employer to even promote, to do a contract instead of having an employee, because they will be saving a lot of money by letting you work from home and you being a contractor.
Yeah, I think what really worked out for me as well is that I don't know if I mentioned this, but I've been with the company for, it's going to be 10 years now. So there's a lot of kind of like knowledge of the company that I have that they don't really necessarily want to let go of. I kind of use that as a bargaining chip as well to like let me work remotely, just because bringing somebody in new and having them to catch up, and our team is pretty swamped with projects, so that costs a lot of time and money. So it was actually a better move for them to let me continue, and be a remote worker. I just showed to them, and I frankly, I am more effective being outside of the office, just because, I don't know if you guys know about the stats of like you always getting distracted all the time. Somebody always like tapping on the shoulder every 20 minutes or so. With working kind of like remotely, I'm able to just like focus and have a better gauge of like what my creativity levels are at. And if I don't feel creative, I step away, and I have that luxury to even like take a nap without nobody like seeing that I'm taking a nap. And then I go back, wake up, and then suddenly I have a better idea of how to solve like a design problem or a UX problem. So
I'm I know all remote workers take naps during the day, but it can be a nice perk.
As soon as I went freelance, one of my friends told me, he's like, give yourself the gift of not setting an alarm. And like, I remember like day one, like I try my hardest to like not have to set an alarm for things unless totally mandatory.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you as well. Time zones and meetings, it's a little tricky, but try to whenever we can.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of questions I want to answer here real quick from Zoe. How has COVID changed the co-living situation, especially with strangers coming in and out of the house? So I can speak a little bit to that. Basically, whatever co-living operator you go with, they should definitely have an outline of what they expect from the house guests in terms of keeping the space clean and what they provide to keep the space clean. That's what we do at Outsite. I know in the beginning, in March, everyone was super unsure about how it was all going to work. I know the guests that are currently in our houses, usually they'll get together for some kind of like team situation, and they'll kind of decide exactly how they want to approach the situation. I think things are becoming more relaxed, and it just depends on the area, I should say. So in Hawaii, the guest in that situation with COVID is a little bit more relaxed than somewhere like New York or San Francisco. So I would definitely just make sure you look and see what, whatever accommodation you're looking at, what kind of rules and process that they have in place to make you feel comfortable and at home. And I don't know, are any of you, have you been living with other people during this COVID time, or have you all been on your own?
I have roommates here, but also like I'm also near the Hawaii houses here, and I know Emmanuel was just there, and I saw like all the guys that were over there. But I think they have their own like house meetings and figure out what they're all comfortable with and that sort of thing. Everything she said, yeah.
I'm in Playa del Carmen, and we rented a house with another Nomads. I was supposed to go to Tulum, but I think Tulum is closed, outside Tulum, and for the COVID. And then I think because of COVID, we're just trying to stay within our group. But even within the group, we had experiences where like people really took it very, everybody reacted a little different. So some people just completely didn't want to hang out, and they're completely doing the quarantine. For us, it was like, let's just stay at the group together, and we just make sure we're all in a group, trying to keep each other sane, still co-working and doing that. So that's been our tactic during this time.
I've been by myself in an Airbnb until I had to help my mom move to her new house. So that's the only time kind of like that I've spent some time with people. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this pans out, going back stateside and like staying with Outsite. So I kind of wanted to like find out how that would work out as well. But it's great to
I'm
know
assuming
that,
yeah, I'm assuming that like
there's
each house manager would have, resources on grocery deliveries and food deliveries and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and something, each, maybe now it might be on the state level, like everyone's gonna have their different regulations. Like here in Hawaii, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So you have to stay home and not like you're legally not allowed to go to the beach or anything like that. So that's a rough one here. They just said that they're working on hopefully like being able to test people as soon as they get off the flight here. That's a big thing that they're working on for Hawaii. So hopefully Outsite lets you guys know when that happens, and then more people can come to Hawaii. But yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and I think in Hawaii you still have the 14-day quarantine, but I don't know if you've seen some of the places in Europe that are not requiring that whenever they open back up. So interesting, all the different approaches that everyone's going to be taking.
Yeah. And also car rental companies, keep in mind, like Hawaii legally will not rent you a car if you're within the 14-day quarantine period. They won't let you rent a car.
Even to get from the airport to where you would want to go?
Yeah, I think you need an Uber. That's it. Yeah, I don't know how quick, as far as I know, they haven't changed it at all. Like if you're within the 14-day, that sort of encourages people to like stay in town for the quarantine, which you would have more delivery options then. But I don't know. There's still bus. So, well, you shouldn't be on the bus actually. So I'm sure there's taxis and Ubers. I think there's still Ubers. So.
Nice. And we have another question from Brielle. She wants to know if we can get a transcript of this after. And yeah, I think I can make that happen. So I can send a follow-up email to everyone and see if we can link that in there. And we have another one. Kenny wants to know, besides Outsite, what type of other networks do you use? I'm guessing for accommodations, community, inspiration for the lifestyle.
Yeah. I use a few Facebook groups. I love Facebook groups for like all sorts of different things. Just for women who travel, I use one called there's Girls Love Travel, which is a huge one. It's like a massive network that really has come in clutch for me when I wanted to go to Morocco just in December, January, and I wanted to book a tour, but it was being canceled, but I didn't want to go alone. And I found two awesome women that were going already, and we connected. So that's Girls Love Travel. That's a Facebook group. It's huge worldwide. And it's like, I like it because if you're stuck anywhere, God forbid, like I remember when Vegas shooting was happening at that concert, women that were there and needed help, or they were in Vegas and needed a place to shelter, people from that group came and found them and got them and took care of them. So it's a good resource. Girls Love Travel Facebook group. And another one that I use a lot is called Female Digital Nomads, which I always tell friends that are on Outsite about it. Just when people have questions about locations, like, is this safe as a female? Would you go to this random city in Colombia? What did you think of this and that? And what cafes are there? That's an amazing, amazing resource. So that one's Female Digital Nomads on Facebook. Those are my two. And locally, I also use the Slack channel for like, I go to like a local co-working office here once in a while. So I use that locally to connect with other web designers or professionals here.
I think 4 or 5 years ago when I was working from home, there was not that many co-working, co-living. But now if you really just type those, you will have a pop-up of different ideas, and most of them all offer different type of accommodations, different type of community, different types. So you just have to pick your, find your tribe and see where you belong. For me, Outsite has been like the one I try and where I feel most comfortable, like at home. So it's been and they're all over the world. So I think I'm good. That would be like.
Yeah, I just go where Outsite has a location.
Simple. None are simple. None are too simple.
Yeah. And if I'm in New York, if you're gonna try to check out like kind of like a sublet in New York, I'd say there's a group called Gypsy Housing. It's a Facebook group. Technically, it's for performance artists only, like musicians, actors, dancers, and stuff like that. But you could say that you're a designer or something, and then you could see all the kind of like the sublet listings in there. So that's specifically for New York City.
Nice. Awesome. That's all the questions we have, and we're kind of at our hour mark. I want to thank you so much, Vicki, Albert, Bianca. So great to see you guys. Even,
nice to see you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Sharing all of your insights and your wisdom. And thank you everyone for joining in. And it was so fun reading y'all's chats and where everyone was from. And we're going to do this again. I'm really excited. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.